Hello! Hello everybody, welcome to the Media Market stream. As you may know, we're alternating Dream streams and then more studio streams. So this week is a studio stream, but we have some cool stuff lined up for you. And also this week we're sort of focusing on jobs in games. We often get emails and questions about how do you get jobs in games. Got Liam here, who's one of our coders on Dreams, and a game coder specialist. And we're also hiring, so you should definitely go and check out our jobs page, but only if you're super elite. You know, noobs not required. I love noobs, but we're hiring for super noobs, superstars. What's it of a noob? Pro. We're looking for the pros. But Liam's a pro and had no prior experience. This is your first job.
It is my first job. Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about yourself, Liam.
About myself. Up until Media Molecule, I was at uni studying computer science, and sort of I just started looking around for games because I've always been into games. It's always been what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I found Media Molecule's website, and at the time they weren't actually looking for anything I fit the description of, I believe. But I decided to apply anyway, the week after my first exam, I was sitting in an interview with Alex and with Dave and a bunch of other people.
Actually, I'm just going to pause you because I can see people going audio, so we can't hear you. So how do we sort the audio? Is it all good? Audio is sweet. Sorry, Liam.
Right, we'll assume that.
So you're in the. Is there double audio? The stream is catching up. Is it all fixed?
I don't know.
Refresh, echo,
fixed.
Fixed. Okay. You're in. Okay. Sorry about that.
I'll just loop around a bit.
Yeah, there we go.
So, I was in uni studying computer science, knowing I wanted to get into game stuff. I found Media Molecule's website, and they weren't hiring anyone like me, but I applied anyway. They sent me a test to do, and I did that and sent it in, and it was good enough to get me an interview. So, after my last exam, the week after, I was sitting here answering very difficult, scary questions from Alex and Dave and
so the thing that stood out, and this is my one-liner on anyone who's applying for a job at Media Molecule, in the industry, whatever, have a portfolio of stuff you've made. And no, we don't expect it to be, stuff that's under NDA if you already work for somebody else. We don't expect it to be super finished if you're, like a student like Liam was. But it does have to be good and stand out. And you've made a procedural city generator, I think.
Yes, so as you sort of do a dissertation project as part of your university thing, and I sort of focused on something that was game oriented because that was my area of interest.
Yeah.
I worked on something that just made arbitrarily large cities from real world data. So you could give it something like, Guildford street maps, and it would output you more streets that look like Guildford.
Yeah.
Which was the idea. There was that. I think the only other thing in my portfolio was a VR game that I'd made for the Rift Dev Kit one. Was like my other.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like a first person free running game, which was motion sickness inducing, but it was.
I didn't try that one, but I mean, I really can't stress it enough that no one puts work in, and it doesn't. If you're a programmer, it doesn't count. You can't pretend that it's not visual. Games are a visual medium, so even if it's not beautiful, you've got to show something. And although people are like, yeah, Alex, that's obvious advice, literally 99% of resumes, covering letters, and stuff that we get have no work listed, and if they do have work, it's like they don't care about it or something, and it's like that's the exact opposite of any game company is going to be looking for something that makes you stand out, that makes you prove your skill, because it's a craft. We make things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's hard to like the thing that shows in a lot of portfolio work is that you want it to be a high quality to a lot of polish, because that shows you've had enough passion about what you're doing to care enough to get it to. If you leave it in an unfinished state, it sort of implies that you don't have the passion to see it through, and that's sort of a red flag.
So we're going to do this stream in 2 halves, or maybe 3 halves. I'm looking around. Liam and I are going to do the first of the 3 halves, and it's going to be coder centric. So we're going to do a bit of live coding. You don't have to understand what's going on, but I want to talk about my time at Bullfrog when I was a summer student there, and I'm going to do a fun little thing there. It takes about 15-20 minutes. Even if you're not a coder, hopefully it'll be fun, and Liam can just laugh at my coding.
And just
After
be fun in the background.
After that, we're going to be having lovely Martin and who's going on with Martin? We're basically going to do designers, right? Dan the man, and Martin I don't know what Martin rhymes with, are going to be doing design and playing Jenga. So we've got some cool other stuff for designers coming up, but we're going to talk about coding for a bit. Because I'm a coder, Liam's a coder, so you're stuck with us. And Sackboy's a coder, he's a good coder. Right, so this is a story about Bullfrog. So when I started at Bullfrog, and I was a summer student, the first thing they had you do, this wasn't an interview question, this is you've arrived on your first day. They set you a series of programming challenges, right? And the first challenge was pentomino packing, right? So if you've ever played Tetris, you know what I'm talking about. I'll show you. Can we switch to the PC, please? Crack my fingers. Right, pentominoes. Pentominoes are... I haven't got a mouse. Let's use a mouse. Hey. These are the pentominoes. FILNPT. They're basically all the shapes you can make if Tetris was made out of 5 bits instead of 4 bits. And the puzzle we had to solve was, in a 6x10 grid that you can see at the top, how many ways can you arrange the pentominoes to fit together? And it turns out, according to Wikipedia, I didn't have Wikipedia 20 years ago, there are exactly 2,339 solutions as discovered in 1960. And we're going to write a program right now on the stream, and I'm going to probably mess it up, to find that out. And basically we're going to write a program that prints out 2,339. So
That's the idea, that's the hope.
It's not that exciting, but but it's all about the journey and the process. And what I want to talk about and what we look for in programmers is when you're learning to program, basically programming is just a matter of practice. You just have to practice and practice and practice. And basically anyone who's applying for a job in the games industry, we assume you're a really good coder. You can program pretty fluently. And if you can't program pretty fluently, don't worry, you can practice some more and then you can apply. And there are loads of good things now, like Handmade Hero is a great stream that you can watch, Casey Muratori. All about, which suits Media Molecule style very much because we don't use middleware. We tend to
just roll everything ourselves. Which is what Handmade Hero is all about. So follow something like that, learn to code, and at a certain point you switch from being about whether or not you can mechanically type code in, because in the end coding is pretty mechanical, to your style. Yeah, I mean it's you know the language you use and the way you actually type is sort of that's the equivalent of the artist's tools. That's whether you can hold your paintbrush and whether you can do fancy things with it. But like in the end, the thing that you inject into the work you make is it's based on what you're creating and your own your own feel on how it should turn out. Exactly,
and in fact we were chatting about this, and I decided rather than trying to describe what's a good coder, I was just going to sort of show you my style. And originally we were going to do a head-to-head Liam versus me, but we haven't got time today. The point is there are many ways to skin a cat in programming. Liam might do it. So if you were solving this pentomino problem, Liam, where would you begin? And I hasten to add, you had a week at Bullfrog to do this. We're going to do it in hopefully 15-20 minutes max, probably 15 minutes from now. So yeah, we're going to compress down. I have cheated. I've done it before, so in case I'm going to type it all in. But if I forget what I'm doing, I'm going to cheat just because we have so little time. But if you were going to solve it, where would you begin?
I think when you're thinking about what sort of what the flow of the program to solve any sort of problem is, like there's the most common easy solution for these sort of things is to just try all the possible solutions. Like that is, to my mind, like the first thing that sort of guides you. It can be faster later, but the easiest thing is basically try all the solutions. Are any of them fine? Yes, pick that one. But obviously you need to break down exactly how you find those solutions and all of that.
So the approach we're taking today is called a greedy algorithm, and it's very simple. It's nothing fancy. Basically the idea is it takes the empty board, the 6x10 board, and it tries to put a pentomino into it, a shape into it. It's a bit like if you had the physical pieces, and it just slides one into place and then keeps going and tries each piece in turn. And if it fits, it carries on, and if it doesn't fit, it throws away what it's done and tries again. And it's just greedy in the sense it hasn't got any cleverness to it, it just brute forces every single combination. And back in Bullfrog days, it was like the Hunger Games, so it was me versus everyone else who joined on the same day. And we were all competing to build the best program, the shortest, fastest, neatest, most elegant, whatever you wanted. I was 15, so mine was rubbish and didn't work for the most of the week, but I learnt a lot. And Mark Adami, who was the guy behind the engine on Tearaway and still works with us now on the Engine of Dreams, but he was the one-man Tearaway engine man. He's an amazing guy. Happened to start Bullfrog on the same day as me. He was a graduate, so he was a bit older, and he absolutely kicked my ass. His program was massively better. And today, I think it's hilarious because I prepped for this stream by trying this out. I was like, oh, how hard can it be? It's 50 lines of code. So I typed it in, and it worked, but it was super slow, or at least I thought it worked. But I didn't know because it took about 10 minutes to find 5 solutions, and I wasn't going to wait for 2,339 because we'd be here all week.
Very reasonable.
So I turned around to Margadami, who sits behind me, after all these years, and it really is like 20 years, terrifyingly. Is it 20 years? Yeah, bullfrog. And he said, Alex, you're doing it wrong again. You're doing it the same way you did when you were 15. You haven't learned a thing. So we're doing the Adami method, because Mark, once again, taught me that I'd completely forgotten how to do it, which is another example of like every problem can be solved in different ways, and it's always good to chat to people. That's why it's so fun working with other people, because you can bounce ideas around. And Dreams, for example, evolves every day because we try things out and then we chat about it. And my thing was that I coded this afternoon was going to take several hours to run, and the Adami method, which is exactly the same amount of code, just a different order, takes about 10 seconds. So it's about 1,000 times faster. So he beat me. Not bad. It's not bad. Let's start. So I to avoid lots of boring typing. Well, there's still lots of boring typing, but to reduce the amount of boring typing, we're writing this in C++, which is what we write Dreams in. And I've just written out the problem statement. So we've got 10 by 6 grid. These are the pentominoes as copy-pasted off Wikipedia. They're called L, P, Y, V, X, L, blah, blah, blah. We won't actually use those names except for one little thing. But that's the convention. And it tells you, and I've drawn pictures here. L, P, Y, I think that one is, V. I've drawn them upside down because I'm not very good at drawing. But each pentomino has been drawn out in a 5x5 grid. And from this point on, we start. So I'm just going to start typing, and you can just critique me while I. Maybe you can guess what I'm doing.
Okay. Well, you're iterating across, going through all of the pieces, I believe. That looks. 12 looks like the number of letters there were.
Yeah. And I'm calling I haven't written this yet, but I'm basically going to pre-calculate all the rotations of a piece, because the first thing I think is I've got these 12 shapes, but I don't have them all the right way up. Okay, so I basically want to write a routine that is going to pre-calculate in some way the all the useful rotations, because different pieces can rotate different amounts. So let me see. I have the shape, and I have the name of this pentomino. Okay, so I at this point I have to start thinking about the representation of how I'm going to represent the pieces, and the thing that everyone arrives at. You could do this with vectors and arrays and STL, but actually game programmers tend to go. Well, I tend to, an engine programmer tend to go quite sort of optimal, and the best representation I can think of, if you look at this grid, is it's 60 squares, and I have a 64-bit machine, so I'm going to have a bit field with 1 bit for each cell. So my first plan is to go through 8 different rotations. You might wonder why they're 8, Liam. That's a kind of interesting question. Why not 4? Not 5. And the answer is, it's got auto indent on. I hate it. That's horrible. What is this auto indent rubbish? Oh well, I will cope. Okay, so I'm looping over 8 rotations, and for each of those rotations I'm going to loop over each of the cells, and I'm going to build up a bit mask of what this particular shape under this rotation looks like. So for example, I'm also going to find a bounding box. So I want to find, and you can Google that if you're interested by what that is. This is classic bounding box code, and Liam, if you want to butt in, feel free, and I will just shut up.
No, I mean, it's interesting sort of just to sort of realise that sort of you've got this representation up here at the top of the screen, which is sort of you've drawn out already your shapes.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it that, like, I guess maybe it's useful to go through like why this is more useful than just using those sort of.
Oh yeah, good question. So if I were to use those drawn versions, I would have to constantly be using. So I'm going to write a routine that basically takes a given XY coordinate from 0 to 4, and I'm going to rotate it by a given rotation. Let's write that one now. So basically, the idea is I'm trying to express if I have an X and Y coordinate from in my little 2D grid here, what happens when I rotate? So this is the geometrical part of the algorithm, and actually as soon as we get this out of the way, we're into bit fiddling and bit twiddling algorithms, which is actually where you want to be to get speed.
Sure.
So you could do this purely geometrically, and if we did that, that might be the best way to write it first when you're feeling out the solution. But you'll find very quickly that runtime is dominated by all of this geometrical calculation and stuff like that.
Yep.
So the answer to the question of why I have 8 rotations and not just 4 is because actually you can mirror these things.
Yep.
So I'll basically say if it's rot goes from 0 to 8, if what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror it in the x-axis. So this is an x mirror, and then in you can maybe describe what I'm doing here. Liam, you can guess what I'm. Liam's never seen this code. By the way,
I mean, this is purely first time for me, but I'm basically assuming that you're essentially handling the mirror cases for each of the various rotations.
Yeah.
I guess a question that might be on the minds of people watching is surely some of these pieces are symmetrical in some cases. So what happens if you flip those?
That's a really good question. So what I've done here is I've mirrored. So this one flips x and y, so it's actually a reflection in the diagonal line. This is a y mirror, and this is a flip in the diagonal. I swap x and y over. I think I've written that right. If you see me make a mistake, shout. And what's funny about this is that I'm returning this linear index, and that's basically a character offset into this array. Now I'm using a trick, which is that if you define a string like this in C over multiple lines, actually the compiler joins it together into a single string. So this is actually a 25 character string. So I'm returning x plus 5 plus 5. Right, rotate has done what I wanted it to do. It's rotated my little image. And if the shape at that position is not a space, it means that it's a block.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And you asked about symmetries. There's an extra twist I'll do now, which is if you go back to Wikipedia, and absolutely you can rotate and mirror these things. You can see, let me see if I've got the mouse cursor so I can show you. In this solution, S is that way, but in this solution it's the other way. So it's important that you do all the mirror symmetries, which is why there are 8 and not just 4. But one of the rules for the problem is that you want to exclude in your count trivial variations obtained by rotation or reflection of the whole rectangle. In other words, you don't count that packing and that packing as the same, as separate.
Yep.
And there's a trick I noticed while I was doing this afternoon, that this shape, which is called S, I think it's called S, let's have a look at the picture at the top. N. Oh, but in this one down here it's called...
Oh.
I don't know what I've... Anyway, I think I called it S. Let's have a look at the code. The code never lies. The last one is S, and sure enough, it's sort of S-y. Yeah. Now, it's interesting, that one, the trick I was going to do is basically this. Instead of going through all 8 rotations, I'm going to have a count, and I'm going to increase rotation by this, right, which is the same so far. But I say if the name is S, then go up in 4. And what that means is I'm only going to try out the S shape, and the S shape flipped 90 degrees by that flip in the diagonal. So effectively we don't try the S shape mirrored that way, we don't try the S shape mirrored that way, we only try the S shape mirrored sort of a 45 degree flip. And this little line here is what allows us, don't count trivial rotations, etc. See Wikipedia. Get away with it. I love writing that in code. See some website.
Just a nice link to something.
And I've come back and read this later. And my code tends to be very, well, you can critique my code, but yeah.
It's awfully compact. Alex does tend to favour very short variable names. I've found when I've interacted with his code.
Yeah.
Which is great for brevity and for hacking stuff out like we need to do on the stream for the purposes of fitting it in the time.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to readability, sometimes it suffers a teensy bit.
Did I get that right? I'm finding the bounding box of this thing, because one of the reasons I need to do that is when I flip these shapes, I haven't even drawn them in the top left corner. Some of these, like this one here, I haven't drawn in the top left corner. So basically, when I'm finding the bounding box in order that I can actually later on slide it up to the top left, so all my pieces will be nicely. I don't know if I need to do that, but my instinct was to do that, so that's what I'm going to do. Did I make any typos there? The classic bugs. There are so many bugs in so many games where you have code like this, where you just copy paste lines, and then you want them to be all the x's and y's line up, all the zeros and ones. So I'm saying if I'm less than 0, if I'm bigger than 1, blah, looks good.
Fine to me, yeah.
Okay, so I found a bounding box, and finally I'm going to find my bit representation. So I basically take a 1 and I shift it up, and ULL means 64-bit. I don't know whether I have to make this 64-bit as well, but I'm just going to make it 64-bit. And I'm going to splat down a bit into our bit pattern, which is now 10 by 6, which is the shape of the board. Okay, so I found my bounding box. I've built my bit representation. And at this point, I basically want to shuffle it to the top. And the way you can do that is you just shuffle it right by, how much do I shuffle it by? x0 plus y0 times 10. I mean, how could it be any simpler? And then I'm going to adjust the bounding box to say that it's now shuffled up to the top left. And now this is the trick. We want to find if we've already done this shape. So if you think, for example, the long, thin shape, the one you want in Tetris, so where you get the nice like full line. If you flip that in the x-axis, it's the same as it was before. So what we need to do is we need to actually remember the different shapes that we've come across. So I'm going to have let me see what I called it in my array so that we can cheat and use the same variable names. What did I call it? I called it piece masks. Okay, so I'm going to store 12 different pentominoes, 8 different rotations, and I'm going to store 2 facts about them, and I'll get to what the second fact is in a minute.
So interestingly, just to take a sort of a bit of a tangent here, like when we were discussing about how we would start this sort of algorithm, like one of the first things we mentioned was obviously like first thing mentioned in the algorithm is you start slotting pieces in, and you sort of just start literally just putting pieces in, and you pull them out as they don't fit.
Yeah.
But obviously, so far we haven't done any of that. But like obviously, this is sort of a lot of upfront preparation, and obviously
exactly.
I think that turns out to be a common pattern in.
That is a really common pattern. So basically, all I'm doing here is massaging my data, massaging the problem into the form that I want it to. And some people think, oh, I just want to dive into the actual problem. Like you'll notice, I haven't written any packing or searching code.
Yep.
I'm literally just preparing, getting everything, all my ducks in line. And actually, the final solution that we're going to get to is, I think, all of 10 lines of code. And all of this preparation is by way of lining up our pieces, figuring out their rotations, removing duplicates, and moving them to the top left. So we're getting close now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to loop over all the piece masks that I've found for this particular shape. So, actually, this is a classic problem in my code. So, in here, this is the shape index that I've passed in. And I have a bad habit of calling everything C1, which is a really awful name to name a variable. And it's a habit from Bullfrog. So Bullfrog coding standard said you always had to name things C1, C2, C3, C4.
Great.
And
very descriptive, very...
Yeah, awful advice. Awful advice. And I just still do it to this day, and it's a habit. I apologise. So don't code like me, was one of the subjects of the stream. Do not code like Alex. But I do love C star. I mean, I don't know whether you can talk about STL and Boost for a second while I kind of
STL and Boost, as in like the fact that they
and their use in games and
I tend to find that, well, from my experience at least, which obviously is mostly just media molecule at this point, but I tend to find that, like as you say, at least in media molecule we roll our own solutions for this sort of thing because it just means we can get something more tailored to our needs, and it's a bit more lightweight. Because when you tend to bring in STL, you tend to bring in Boost, it comes with a lot to it. But it also speeds up a lot of your problems if you're just hacking something together, because you get out of the box certain bits of functionality you don't have to write yourself. So if you need to be able to be storing lists of data, you can just bring in a library that's already there, and you can just start storing lists.
Yeah. I mean,
which is sort of a...
Have you found that your coding style's changed?
Oh, my coding style is still changing. I think
really?
Mine
is too, actually.
It's very hard to work with a lot of other people. Like the people you tend to be interacting most closely with in the code on a day-to-day basis changes quite regularly, and I tend to find that my coding style sort of evolves as I see how other people write code and sort of accumulate what I see as the best bits of how they write code into my own style, and obviously they like vice versa. So it's sort of, I think everyone sort of moves each other forwards in terms of just by working together and working on the same code base, which is something you really don't get if you don't do group projects. Like, I mean,
I found that there's a language that Google have been sort of working on and exposing, which is called Go, which I really recommend. And Rust looks interesting as well, although I've never actually played with Rust. And I find that the more you learn another language, a lot of people say, what language should I learn? It doesn't matter, they're all the same, but they're not all the same, because as you learn the idioms of a particular language, you sort of develop your own personal style. And some people write C++ in a very kind of object-oriented way. There's a trendy thing for like writing in a certain kind of functional style. I can't remember what I called the size of my max X, max Y. Okay.
No, I felt that quite keenly when I got here because as part of university, what we were taught was Java, which is very, very object-oriented. You're taught when you write code, you figure out I have a dog, I have a cat, and I give them some functions like bark and meow, and it's sort of very tailored around sort of things, doing things like I am a manager, I am a blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly.
But like I've found that since I've been here, that actually just hinders in a lot of scenarios. So I'm moving more towards, as you said, like more functional style and more clean.
Yeah, and I've been through the similar, much slower. You've gone a lot faster than I have. and I found that. Let me just finish off this routine. It's very hard to code and talk, isn't it?
No, absolutely.
I've never discovered that. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through what I've just done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have these are my 12 pencil nodes. These are the 8 possible rotations, and if they're 0, it means like they're not set up, so they're duplicated. So I'm not going to actually use up all these 8 for some pieces.
Yep.
Like the X, there's only one possible rotation, and then I'm actually going to store 2 numbers. One is the pre-computed top leftist bit mask of the shape. So the shape expressed as a single 64-bit number. The second number is what positions in the board can the top left corner. So let's look at a particular one. Let's look at the F shape, for example. The F shape can be slid around on the board from the top left, but interestingly, the top leftmost square there
sort of
is indented by 1. So I'm actually also going to, let me write another thing. I'll call that first square. And for each rotation, each piece, I'm going to compute that. And I'll do that right now. So I'll say the first square, I'm going to keep it in a local variable, and I'm going to do it for a...
I mean, if that's... I can start answering some of the questions. There are some questions in the
stream.
If you want, I can just sort of start. So there's one that is, would you recommend first starting out indie or go to a AAA, which is quite a huge, sort of loaded question. But
that's a huge
an interesting one.
Yeah.
I think... broadly speaking, it comes down to what your circumstances are.
I think either's good. I mean, you'll have a very... I suspect, if I'm being brutally honest, a small indie, very small indie, like the ideal size, team size, like Foam Sword, Represent, Rex and Moo are working, for example. They're super experienced, but they're doing an indie game.
Knights and Bikes on Kickstarter.
Knights and Bikes on Kickstarter. Go there now.
Yeah.
It's one coder and one artist, and I think that's actually the plus mates, old friends helping them out. That is an ideal size for an indie title, in my opinion. Whatever. And so there's not a lot of room for hires.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do an indie game yourself, that is amazing. That's the best way to kickstart your portfolio. Find some friends, build a game. Absolutely, that's fantastic. I mean, I was a demo scene guy. I was talking at the beginning of the stream about having a portfolio. Basically the trick is to have work there. So how do you get it? Well, make an indie game, boot up Unity, learn C#, whatever it is. But in terms of getting your first job, you're more likely to get a job at a larger medium studio, medium molecule, or bigger, because we actually hire people, whereas indies tend to be you and your mates. So both are good, but they're very different scenarios, because you're going to sorry, Liam.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's absolutely true. And yeah, I think like some of the interesting things about that is, like you said, build up Unity, build up Unreal. Like when it comes down to it, like it almost doesn't really matter what you make it in. Like the important thing is that you learn so much just making a game, whatever it happens to be in, that you sort of it's worth just if you are interested in it, just making games. It's not all about the portfolio. Obviously, that's an amazing bonus when you want to get a job in a larger studio or even an indie studio if they are hiring. But a lot of the best thing that comes out of that is just the experience you get doing it and how much you learn, because there's things that you just don't encounter or can't even conceive that you would have encountered until you dive in and really sort of just...
So I'm actually pretty much done on this. So I've just noticed I had a variable called I, which was actually, I thought of it as I because I was looping over the existing piece masks to see whether or not we'd already seen it before. But actually, it's kind of looping over rotations, and so I've decided to call it rot now and change its name. A better coder would probably call it rotation, but in the interest of typing on the stream, a rot is a rotation. I think that's clearer that whenever I'm referring to one of these piece masks, it's this piece for this particular shape at this particular rotation. And then I could have done a struct for this as well, which would be nice, but for now, again, for brevity, I've shoved the bit mask, the pattern of the shape in the first thing, and the allowed positions, which is what I was computing while we were chatting, and I've no idea if I've computed it right. But the principle of it is, this thing is finding out if we've already got a duplicate. So let me walk you through it. We're going to loop over the rotations. We're going to see whether or not we've filled in this one. So is this an existing one we've already done? If it's exactly the same as the shape we've just computed, then it's a duplicate and give up. And then out of this search loop. And then if it is a duplicate, you go to the next rotation, please. And I could have done that with a goto, but this pattern of like breakout and then continue is a nastiness to see, but it's a classic. And now, having found that this is a brand new rotation, I'm going to store it out at the end of this loop into my
into
your
grid.
My grid.
Yeah.
For this particular pre-computed piece mask, and then I'm also going to loop over the entire, slide the piece around if you like, and set a bit of, yes, this piece fits into that position on the board, which is basically where it is, adjusted for the bounding box. So if it's a big piece I can slide it less, if it's a little piece I can slide it lots, and then this is offset because I'm caring not about the top left of the bounding box, but I'm caring about the top leftmost square, which is an offset of first bit. So all of this code, which now is a fairly large number of lines, probably that whole function, let's see if it compiles. Pretty close. I forgot that I turned that into an array of 2. Should I make it a struct, or should I just leave it as an array of 2?
Fine as is.
Okay. So there you go. Wow, compiled second time. That's not too bad. I was going to say, like, I could do the solver, but I'm wondering whether or not at this point in the stream, let's ask the chat. Do you want me to write the actual solver that uses this data, or do you want me to copy paste it from my answer, and then we can move on to like less codey things? I think I've managed to convey. Oh, I think the PC's gone to sleep. I've managed to convey a lot of what we want to chat about. But what does the stream think? Should we carry on coding for another 5 minutes?
Getting feedback would be awesome. We can obviously just copy paste the code in. We can discuss the code. We can basically take it as far as you want us to be doing it. I'm
going to write a printout. Let's do something visual for a second. So if I have a board and I want to print it on the screen, I can loop over 64 bits.
Ooh.
And I can also do this, right? And then I say if the board is an odd number, then print, let's do that with a question mark, a character. If it's a 1, then we're going to print out a hash, otherwise we're going to print out a space.
Just to update you, you're getting a lot of votes for writing the code. I think people are
Is that all right
getting
with
behind
the molecules that are scattered around?
Do it.
All right, do it. We're doing it.
Cool.
So if we're on the 10th thing, then we want to do a new line. This is Alex's leak coding style. This is the sort of thing that Liam, that you should never do.
I have got into the habit of using terrible ternary operators all over the place, and it bothers me a bit. But
here's a multiple choice question. What will this do for? Should we just try it? Let's print out the board of the first shape in the first rotation. Programmers count from 0. So when I say first, I instinctively type 0. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm a programmer. Right, sorry. So let's see if.
Unless you code in blue R, in which case.
Oh look,
not so much.
it's let's instead of spaces, let's do dots so that we can see the. My God, it worked! What the hell? Let's change this to a dot. So this little incantation here is the thing that's putting new lines that actually turned it from a 1D loop into a 2D loop. Look, it's taken my first shape and it's moved it to the top of the thing. Like I put a space in there on purpose. It's like, oh, it slid it to the top. Let's see what happens in the first rotation. Does it work?
It does.
It's rotated it. And now the test of the deduplication. If I do the second rotation, there should be nothing there, because that's it for the. Look at that.
Fantastic.
I've just noticed that my board is a bug in it. I'm printing out 60 and then 4 more just for kicks. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably a bug.
Yes.
Debug code always. Have you found that, Liam? When you're writing code,
Yes.
9 times out of 10 the bug is in the debugging code.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Any stories and dreams on that one?
Specific examples, not so many, but yeah, I totally agree. Like, you'll tend to be doing things like you'll write a bunch of tests, and one of them will fail, and you'll spend a bunch of time wondering why, and it'll be, hey, I put a not equals instead of an equals into my test.
That's a really good point. Now, testing. I mean, I'm doing a bit of ad hoc testing here.
Yeah.
And that's good. I mean, it's good to sort of get a sense of what the computer's doing. So as you're going, you've got this mental model, picture in your head of what's inside the computer.
Sure.
And when I'm going to talk about the media molecule coding test for a second. Or no, you talk about it.
I can talk
because you've done it. Because
and how much depth? Like how like
well,
we're just talking like a broad overview.
Don't spoiler it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing about it that I love.
Yeah.
It shows your personality. So the goal of a media molecule programming test is not can you program, like we said before.
Absolutely.
It's not even what style of programmer you are, although I do read your code. It's actually, we set you a really hard problem that's almost impossible to solve, and then we see how you handle that. So over to you.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about it is because you can put a lot of yourself into it. That's a really great test to go through, just because it's enjoyable. Like you get to actually feel like you're making, like you're making a program that shows off some of your own personality, which is great. But I think the interesting thing, at least for me, was that I sort of actually caught a bit of MM's personality in that, because the test was very much designed around sort of a problem that sort of showed, I don't know,
style,
some of the style. I suspect it was also possibly a bit changed to sort of be a bit tougher than you would expect. But yeah, it's definitely great to be set challenges which give you that opportunity to put some of yourself into the results, I think.
Okay, so here's me relaxing for a second, and we're going to write a classic greedy algorithm. So this is going to be a recursive solver, and the idea is we're going to take a current state of the board, which is going to start empty, and we're going to have a set of pieces of bit mask. Should we call it pieces mask? That might be nicer. Which is which pieces we've got free. So this is going to start out. So I'm going to solve recursive. I'm going to kick it off. This is sort of another interesting thing is you do a mixture of top up and bottom down. So down here at the bottom is I'm thinking like I want to solve the whole thing. I want to start with an empty board. Actually, I'm going to have one meaning free. So I'm going to start out with all of the bits set. So that's like all ones. And I'm also wanting all of the pieces, all 12 pieces. So it's like 1 shifted left by 12. That's not 12. That's 12. And then I'm going to print out the answer to the meaning of life is a number, which we hope is 2,339.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And I've been lazy and put it in a global variable because I'm lazy. But yes. So when you're writing a recursive routine like this, you want to handle the sort of
the base case. You don't want to keep going over
exactly.
and over and over and over. You want to have something that says, okay, you're done now, you should stop, because otherwise, like, your program will just get stuck in a loop and you'll never get out. And
exactly.
That's the worst case.
Oh no, we've run out of pieces, so we've found a solution, because we've managed to get to a point where all our pieces are used up. We're still going. Brilliant.
Yes.
So, and hopefully this is going to be like a very short number of lines, because we've put all of our ducks in a row. So basically, in terms of how much code I now have to write, it's about 5 or 6 lines of code and we're done, assuming I didn't make any mistakes. And the reason is that all that preamble, that 20 minutes or 30 minutes or however long I've been rambling, was lining up all the ducks, and now we can just nuke them with a massive railgun. So
yeah, great.
This
great
is where
analogies.
we're doing the Adami solution.
Yep.
So this is not what I did. So basically, I took this approach. I thought about it in piece terms. I was like, I'm a little piece. I'm going to be this guy. I'm going to find a place for the L shape, and then I'm going to find it. Once I found a place, I'm going to find a shape for P, and then I'm going to find a shape for Y, and I'm going to go through. And my greedy algorithm always put L first, then it put P, then it put Y, then it put whatever that shape is, and it took hours.
Yep.
And Adami was like, for God's sake, Evans, that is a shit idea. What you want to do is you want to find the first hole in the board, and you want to find a piece that fits in the hole.
Yep.
Almost identical, except instead of going pieces, choosing the piece and then finding a hole for it, you choose the hole.
Yep.
And then find a piece for it. So you're just turning around the order.
Yep.
And just that turning around is a 1,000-fold speed up.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, sort of mirrors how just generally coding works, not necessarily just this problem, but like it's very much the case that the more you work with other people, you get a wider range of ideas, a wider range of approaches to problems, which
Exactly.
sort of gives you a wide range of choices to find the best one. And yeah, like that's just one of the.
So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to find bit scan finds the first set bit. In other words, the top leftmost hole. Because remember, I've got board is like board has ones. I'm going to type it out. The board has ones for free holes. So basically, the hole index is the bit index of the first hole, and the hole is a little mask. Let's call it hole mask. That's very nice. Okay, so now we've found a hole. Now we need to find a piece. So I just loop over my 12 pieces. Oh, look at this bullfrog. C1. That should be shape. Should I be nice?
Yeah, go on then.
Shape is sorry. It takes longer to. I can type C1 in my sleep.
Yeah. Actually, the other thing as well is comments. Is like a fairly dividing issue in terms of how often and how much. I notice your comments are fairly sparse because you're explaining as you go along. Of course, and this isn't meant for anyone's consumption, but ourselves on the stream, and you're explaining. But like, sort of, where do you sit on terms of like frequency? You just
I mean, one of the problems I have with comments is that they rot. And I don't mean a rotation rot, I mean like
As in, over time they become inaccurate because code changes, but no one bothers changing the comments.
And so you end up reading a comment and it bears no relation to the code.
Yes.
So here I'm doing a really dumb code. I'm going over all my 12 shapes. Remember, we're doing a dummy style, so we've found a hole. I'll leave a comment. I mean, I wouldn't actually write this in real code. Find a hole, and then you find a piece to fit in the hole. And bear in mind, we're just looking at the top left corner. That was why I was doing all that faff earlier to arrange where the top left corner, make a mask of where the top left corner is allowed to go. And this is going to kind of fall into piece. So basically, if I loop over my 12 shapes, if I haven't used up that shape yet, so if that shape is free, then I'm going to loop over all 8 rotations,
Yes.
and I'm going to ask what hole positions can the top left of that piece go, right? Which we've pre-computed. And if it can't go anywhere,
C1 there instead of your shape, by the way.
Oh yeah, you see,
still typing C1. It's just built into the fingers.
It's totally
muscle
built into the
memory.
fingers. Pieces mask. Okay, so if where can it go 0, it means that this is actually not a rotation. We're out of rotations because we don't always have 8.
Yes.
So we give up on the rotations, and then we're like, okay, if where it can go, and this is where the bit mask represents where can it go, fits in with the hole. In other words, if the bit where the hole is set in that where can it go, that means that we can actually put this piece here. So we've found a candidate piece, right, to go here. And so now we want to actually pull out the mask of that. What shape is that piece? Well, it's the shape we are in, which is called shape. This is better than my
C1.
yeah, and this is the exact shape, but that's with it in the top left corner. So what we need to do is we need to shift it left we need to slide it over to wherever the hole is, but bear in mind that we have to offset it, annoyingly, by so for example, in the case of the R shape here, the first square is index 1, so we need to slide it over to the hole -1 because the top left version doesn't have the thing there. It makes sense. It took me probably 10 minutes to figure that out when I was doing it, but that'll do. So we're done. We've now put our piece there. Let's actually see if the whole piece fits, because bear in mind that we've only checked the top left corner so far. So again, 64-bit mask representation avoids any for loops here. We're actually checking an entire shape against our board in that tiny piece of code.
Yep.
If the entire board masked together with the piece is exactly the piece, in other words, if the holes in the board masked to the shape of the piece are the shape of the piece, the whole...
Yeah. You can imagine it like the board has holes in, and if you try and put the piece through, if it gets through and comes out with all its pieces still there...
That's a nice way to think about it. That's a nicer way than...
it fits.
So then in that case we recurse by clearing those bits, right? So I'm saying they are no longer free, and the other thing we need to clear, and just to be inconsistent, I'm going to clear it with XOR because I could have used XOR there as well.
Shape.
So
using C1 now?
piece mask, I think.
C1.
Oh god, it's really
everywhere.
is everywhere in my brain. Okay, so solve recursive. So that does the next piece. The end. We have actually written, subject to it actually compiling, the entire thing. Will it work? Will it blend?
I think the red underlining on some of these variables implies no.
Yes, indeed. Shape, bummety bum. What shape? Go on, Liam. Backseat code me.
Pieces mask would be your...
Index of the shape we're on.
Pieces mask is not your array, is it? I don't think. Or is it?
Why is that underlined? I'm going blind.
Well, this is pieces mask at least, the one at the bottom.
Where?
That one. This one's...
Oh yeah, nice. Nice,
What's one of
okay.
your
So
errors?
close. And this is where it all goes wrong and I get tired. Oh, it's called first hole, wasn't it? First square. Okay. And then, why is it forgotten about shape? Shape is declared up here. I've got a curly braces mistake. Have I got a curly braces mistake?
That looks pretty sane to me.
Why doesn't it like
What's
shape?
Subscript requires array. Oh, is pieces mask not your array? Have you got the wrong thing there? No, yeah, pieces mask is your bit mask.
Oh, have I got the
You
same...
you want the...
I've used the same routine. Oh, you see, this is Evan's coding style failing again. So that pieces mask's plural. I missed the S. Oh.
That's devious. Oh no, wait.
Except I
Oh,
can't
piece
even tell.
mask.
Piece masked? Oh god.
Ooh.
See, this is why I don't code like an Evans. Do we just run it and see what happens, or do we step through it like a...
Run it.
Run it. Yeah.
The answer to my life is 0. What a shame. It doesn't work. Okay, this is now moving into a new phase called debugging. But if this doesn't work after a couple of minutes of debugging, I think we'll call it a day. So basically, we've got all our pieces, and we've got a nice big full board. And we're finding the first hole, which should be 0, yep. We're looping over our shapes. If the shape is free, it is. We go over the rotations. Where can it go? It can go in... That doesn't look right, actually. A number of different places. Actually, that might be right.
Well,
that doesn't look right. And then where can it go? If it can go in this hole, then we grab a piece, shift it into the right place, which is hole index is 0, first square shape. Well, let's have a look at this. The first square should be 0, I think, for this piece. Yeah, it is. And if it fits, so we've actually messed up over here. Our positions. Plus y times 10. I've made a mistake. Oh, curses. I think we shouldn't spend any more time on this. I think we've spent enough time. So I think we've managed to make a buggy implementation, and I will post the fixed version of this, which is probably very close to what we already have. So I won't bother wasting any more time fixing it. But the spirit is there. And it's a shame that I managed to make a typo somewhere that means that it's got a bug. But that would be a whole other stream itself.
Yeah, I mean, such is
coding,
really. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that, and we will post the answer, the solution, which is now 100 and... Well, most of the lines are actually these pretty pictures. Yep. So it's about 80 lines of code. It's not a lot of code. And we'll post it, and hopefully the meaning of life will not be 0, it'll be 2309. And thanks very much for listening. Yep. And we're going to go over to some lovely, friendly designers now.
Yep. So I'd like to just quickly make the point that, like, in the Twitch stream, there's been a lot of people asking various coding questions, like about sort of how to get into coding, what sort of books you recommend, what language you recommend, etc. Like, you can get in touch with, well, at least with me. I know I'm happy to take questions on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, let's just be opinionated. JavaScript's good because it's everywhere. C# good because it's Unity, and C is good because it's the one true language. Yep. C++ is rubbish. Don't use C++. It's shit. It really is. Don't use Java. And then the next thing to say is it doesn't matter what language you use, and you can ignore what I just said, because, for example, Minecraft was written in Java, and despite Java being shit, Minecraft isn't shit. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. Yep. Learn one, get really good at it. But I would choose C if I was making a console game, and I'd choose JavaScript if I was making a web game, and I'd choose C# if I was making a Unity game.
That's a nice summary from Alex's point of view. I'd need to consider more. I'm not great at the ad hoc opinions, so yeah. But feel free to just tweet at me afterwards.
Yeah, I mean we can do it. Yeah. So what's your Twitter?
Kilobytes is with an underscore after the.
Come on, let's type it in. We're on the stream. Come on, bring up a notepad, and we will type in your.
Oh, we can do that. Yeah.
Go on. What's
kilo_bytes.
Like that.
That one.
And I'm Alex, and we are Media Molecule. So you can go and ask Liam some lovely questions. You can laugh at me on that one, and you can send love about the game to that one. At which point we should hand over, really.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And we'll do more coding streams. If you enjoyed this and it wasn't too dry, we'd love to do more coding streams, and I'll try not to write bugs next time. And Liam can do the coding, maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Thanks, guys. Over to Dan and Martine.
Indeed.
Woo! Woo! Yay!
We're coming. I just kicked the computer, it might be broken. Hello! We need Alex Evans has left his detritus all over the espresso cups and
nice
programming keyboards and all of that. Oh, blimey, let's sort ourselves out. So that looked incredible, but I had almost no idea what was going on for almost all of that.
Oh.
It was like a witchcraft, but with less wizards. Or more wizards. Wizards and witches.
Hello, Dan.
Hello. All right. So yes, there were like while they were talking and doing all that amazing things with keyboards, there were lots of questions coming up that were all about. There's lots of creative folk out there that aren't programmers.
Correct. Oh.
That's all I wanted to say about it. No, so there's lots of people asking about learning code, and if you need to work in games, do you need to learn code and all this kind of stuff? And I thought that's quite interesting, and I don't think you do.
Actually. No, and there are many facets to, particularly at Media Molecule, there are many facets to what makes our games good and nice and unique. One of those is that we put quite a lot of emphasis on web design and creating really nice web experiences to go alongside our games. Like LBP.me was the first really great example of that. A colleague of mine, Tom Kiss, spearheaded the design for that and did an amazing job on creating something that still exists to this day, serving the LBP community really well. When I came on board, I was hired as web designer to work on Tearaway, and I joined the company, and they said we're shipping the game in 3 months. So can you design us a website to go with it?
Amazing. That's the kind of efficient.
so I was like, yep, let's do it. And so I worked with Tom Kiss and Tom Dalloway, a couple of stand-up great guys, on building Tearaway.me.
Amazing.
So yeah, we put a lot of care and attention into not just programming, not just art, but also in online experiences and that kind of thing. So there's a great breadth of opportunity with working in not just at MM but in games in general.
I'm just trying to set up a Jenga game.
Yeah.
All of Alex Evans's talk about blocks made me think we should probably play Jenga.
Yeah.
And I think that is perfectly valid. But yeah, I think that's. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, certainly.
There's so many blocks for the last like 45 minutes. So it was all about the blocks, and I just can't like. All I could think of was playing Jenga after that.
What's the etiquette for Jenga? Is
You can't
like,
hold the tower.
Can't hold the tower. You can only just poke the blocks, like that.
Yeah, Jenga ket. Yeah, so I think the answer to... No, you put it back on top.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So I think the answer to do I need to learn code to work in computer games
Absolutely not.
is no. I mean, I also came in as as obviously the video editor, sort of designer person, bit of a jack of all trades really, but lots of video work, and I know absolutely nothing. I'd actually never worked in computer games before before I worked here.
No,
so.
me neither. My career started at a very. I studied graphic design. Started working at a very small agency in Brighton, and then I applied for a job at Eurogamer.
Oh really?
And I worked for them for a while. I designed Eurogamer and GamesIndustry.biz and all that stuff.
Oh wow!
If you're familiar with those websites.
I am not.
And then I just took a punt on getting a job at MM. They were advertising for a web designer job, and I thought, I fancy that. So so I looked at the job description, and then I made a little website that fulfilled all of the little bits that they were asking for. I felt that was a really important thing to do. What I didn't do was just apply for the job like I was applying for every other job that you might apply for. I built a little portfolio that was tailored specifically to MM. I hid lots of fun little Easter eggs in the HTML that were
Everyone loves an Easter egg.
MM in jokes and stuff like that, and I really paid a lot of attention.
Gone for a base block here.
It's risky. I really paid a lot of attention to making sure that I knew what I was applying for, and this is my application to you, Media Molecule. And I think that's essential. Like, don't ever just apply for a job. Don't apply for 10 jobs and send them all the same application. Know what you're applying for.
That also
raises make it good.
Also raises a good point about the sort of standard of the applications that we get really, and like Alex Evans was saying, we need to see stuff, and we need to. We're looking for a UX designer. Ooh,
we are looking
lots
for
of pressure in this block, by the way.
Yeah. So
very nice. Very nice.
So
one person round of applause from Jenny.
Interestingly, as some kind of terrible metaphor for user interface and user experience design, we're playing Jenga. So my role has sort of moved into the user interface design area. I'm working on Dreams at the moment and helping to figure out the sort of how people get around Dreams. And are you allowed to do that? Can you create a gap there? Is that, or do you? Right, fine, I'm not going to argue the rules.
Let's play it like this, but the community can tell us if you're allowed to create a gap on the top.
Yes, my I don't want that one. I don't want that one either. I don't want any.
You definitely don't want that one.
I want this one. So I've created a really nice one block in the middle, tipping point there. So anyway, I've been working on Dreams for a while, working on the user interface, designing how people get around the game and how the community systems work. But it's such a massive, enormous, complex project, like an order of magnitude bigger than anything I've ever worked on, that we need a bit of help with crafting the user experience of the sort of front end of Dreams, and also just in our games in general. Whatever comes next, we need a hand. So I'm still working on design. I'm still working on web design as well, but we need a bit of help on crafting those user flows. And
so presumably, if someone applies for the UX role, like every other role, they need a strong portfolio
Absolutely.
of user experience.
Yeah, we need amazing people that have done amazing things.
Because there are already amazingly talented people that work at this studio. In fact, we recently hired two Danish girls from Maya and Emily, who you may or may not have seen on our streams from, was it PSX or?
PSX. Maya was at PSX.
Maya was at PSX, and Emily's popped up on a couple of streams before. But their portfolios were were absolutely fantastic, just absolutely beautiful work. I think we've got a bit of Emily's show. So bear in mind, this is someone coming from university, hired as intern. So this isn't someone with 10 years experience or something like that in it, but the work is just
they are absolutely astounding artists.
They're amazing artists.
Everything they do is incredible. Everything they create in Dreams is incredible.
But it's pretty indicative of the kind of standard that
you have to be really, really, very, very good at what you do, and you have to show a passion for it as well. You have to absolutely love it. If you don't love what it is that you want to do, then there's no point. There's no point trying to turn that into a career.
But that becomes very obvious in Emily's amazing little show reel that she's very kindly let us sort of put up on the stream and talk about, because it's quite clear that she spends a lot of time and a lot of effort and passion and love goes into all of the stuff that she's making here, and that's kind of what I guess we look for here. For anyone, from whether it's the Jenny and Alex will tell you about the community manager role in a bit, but whether it's UX or whether it's coding, or like Alex was saying, it's for the programming tests, it's almost an impossible task, but it's designed to get your personality across and show your kind of the way you work, and this is really indicative of the way Emily works. It's absolutely beautiful. Lots of passion goes into it, which is great.
Look at that.
One more question from the chat.
Yeah.
Question from the chat.
For the UX role, do you need any coding experience?
Well, no, not necessarily. No, coding is at the bottom of. We are still playing Jenga behind this wonderful showroom. Coding is bottom of the list of things that we would expect from somebody who's working in a UX role. What we're actually after is an ability to show that they understand how people navigate interfaces and how humans interact with
each other.
How humans interact
whilst playing
with,
Jenga is intensely
with computer interfaces, and we're looking for unique approaches, not just the same old stuff that you see in every other game. We really want some inventiveness on show, considerations for different types of input, different controller input. Dreams works with DualShock 4, it works with a motion track DualShock 4, it works with Move controllers, so all of those things need to be taken into consideration. So what we're actually after is just a very, very clear very, very clear talent in understanding how user experience works.
Again, that's the same.
And being able to show, that you can prototype, you can explain your thinking. Motion graphics is a really big help. In fact, graphic design is is a must. Like motion graphics to show, how people transition in and out of different screens and how people get around.
I've just seen a question that is Geese, I believe, or G has asked how much experience do you need?
They asked the coding question as well.
Oh, fantastic! Hi, and I think, I mean, like, you can probably answer that question, but from my experience, it's not necessarily about how much experience you have in the games industry. It's just about the quality of your work.
Ideally, like, specifically for this role, specifically for this role, it would be good if you have experience in shipping things that have a heavy UX focus. Like mobile apps is a really good example of that. You might have a web design background. Like, games experience is a huge plus, and we have put on a job description that that's a requirement. However, if you send us an application and it's absolutely amazing, then there's no reason why we wouldn't consider you. You don't get struck off immediately just for not having games experience.
Yeah, of course. Like Liam was saying before, Liam got hired pretty much straight out of university, I think. And
I didn't come from the games industry.
Me either.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like the three of us didn't come from the games industry, and we just kind of.
Well, you have to show an aptitude for what it is that you're applying for.
Yeah, definitely.
First and foremost, which sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, lots of people know the stories about Steve Big Guns and John Beach getting hired out of.
And Christoph.
Was Christoph really as well getting hired because of
from the community.
From LBP.
Yeah.
And I suppose the fact of the matter is that's relatively rare. It's very rare. But in a weird way, it's a similar thing to having an amazing portfolio. It's just that the portfolio that they had was very specifically designed in LBP, and it was almost an accidental portfolio. It just showed their sheer kind of joy of making stuff with the software.
Yeah.
I just went right in there. Did you see that? Oh god, we're gonna have to get this to fall because the girls have still got to do their community manager thing, but this has kind of become competitive now.
Saying whoever loses has to shave their beard.
That's just not going to happen.
Do it.
I promise
Shave
that
your
I
head.
will shave my beard. I've already shaved my head, but I promise that I will shave my beard if I lose this.
What do you mean you're going to do better than the fellas? I mean, look at this. This is a work of
I'm
art.
gonna beat you.
I'm terrible at Jenga.
In case you didn't hear that was Alex Moyer discussing how terrible at Jenga she is. Just going to wash that out there.
Oh,
Boom, no worries.
No beard shaving is going to be happening
Have we
tonight.
got any more questions? Are there any more questions coming in?
Look at that, Swift.
Jeez, you went. I'm not sure about that. Tuck that edge in there, surely.
Edge tuck,
That was a good
mate.
good edge tucking. I can't argue with that. Just,
Okay.
Oh my goodness, that was an incredible.
Oh, it's wobbling.
Someone else has said beard or legs.
I'll happily shave my legs.
You're not letting that beard go.
We've picked up the pace here a little bit, and I like it.
Yeah, it's just speed
And I apologise in advance, but I'm just going to move the microphone away because if this falls over, it's going to be absolutely horrible for you guys.
Speed Jenga.
Speed
Jenga,
Jenga.
speed it up.
I've made a terrible decision. Oh! It's so close. I can't bear the tension.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I can't. We're doing this live on the internet, Martin. This is.
Okay. There's got to be something around here that I can.
Oh my goodness, you can't see. I don't know if you guys can see the bottom of this, but it's just on wands the whole way down. Are there any more questions about the job from the community or getting jobs at Media Molecule? No! Beard shaving.
It's gonna happen.
That is, well, there we go. I think on that bombshell, I don't think we should clean this up. I think we should just leave this.
Fine. Okay, well,
it's been lovely talking to you guys.
Yeah, I hope that was useful information.
Yeah.
We really look forward if there's any prospective UX guys out there, guys or gals, please give us a shout because we really need your help.
Yeah, we do. So give us a shout and like remember everything we've said about portfolios and like all that kind of stuff. And I'm Dan. Obviously, I'm on @thatcastro chap on Twitter. I know a bunch of you guys have already said hello to me. Feel free to say hello some more.
I'm Martin. You can find me on Twitter at Mousinator. Like Terminator,
little
but with a mouse
person. We're going to hand you over to the girls now. Thank you very much. Bye.
Hi! Hello!
Oh, hey!
Lady time.
It's lady time. Gonna get the women of MM.
Gonna get the
involved.
women's.
Ladies!
We're gonna play
Why
some...
have you just left this like this?
Right,
Like, I've got...
You guys, come on!
I'll help.
This is, you got to tidy up after you play.
Right, you just carry on and
Let's sit down, don't we?
Right, so we were talking about the community manager role.
Yes.
And
Which
is live right now.
it is live, so you
Yeah.
can apply right now.
Apply right
If
now.
you feel you have the right skills.
I'm actually going to really judge you on how tidy this is.
It's not going to be very
You've been talking
tidy.
about the blocks, you've been talking about UX. Let's get it down.
I don't
This
care
is like
about.
speed Jenga building.
I don't care about your personal UX with regards to playing Jenga.
I'm just, this is actually quite interesting just to watch.
It's quite therapeutic.
It is actually. It's like a lava
Has
lamp.
anyone played Mega Jenga?
It's
Like giant Jenga?
just giant blocks.
Do you like play it in the garden?
Do you have little mallets for knocking out?
It's just huge blocks. I think we should take it to a
So
house sometime.
I think on the chat we should have a little bet as to who is going to win this game of Jenga. If you get it right,
Whoever loses has to shave their beard.
I've just done mine.
Whoever loses has to shave my beard.
Whoever guesses the right person will pick one of you to win a Dreams T-shirt. Or where is the camera? There.
Woo!
So it's really nice cotton actually.
Very soft. It's like premium cotton.
Yeah, we didn't get
100%
we didn't get the
cotton.
cheap ones.
No,
this time.
no,
You're
no.
missing a Jenga block.
Oh no!
Are we?
We can't see it on here.
Don't worry about it. Oh no, you're not.
This is shoddy.
We've got the Jenga set up.
Right, let's get talking about jobs. How did you end up, Jenny,
Well,
at Media
How
Molecule?
did you end up as Jenny?
As Jenny? Yeah.
well, no, okay. Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of from the community, I guess. Because I was a
Homegrown.
Yeah, I am a big fan of MM.
Oh
And
God, if I touch it, does that mean I have to take it?
I don't know what the rules
No
are.
one
because
saw it.
Some people say if you touch it, you got to pull it, but then I feel like that might actually
Am I allowed to cheat?
have a little poke and see which one's the loop. There you go.
Mm.
Yeah, so I was just a big fan of MM, and I've always loved their games, and they were very local to me. I live near Guildford, and I remember trying to find where their studio was, which I never did. But yeah, I was just a big fan, and all the jobs were very kind of programmy and kind of all that very specific gaming stuff, and I was like, oh, there's never going to be any jobs for me because I'm not a programmer. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually a really good point, is that a lot of people think working in gaming is coding or doing art, and they think I can't do that, so I can't get a job in gaming. But there's so many different jobs that support the studio. I mean, a video game studio is a business, so there's all the kind of functions that you'd expect from
Yeah, exactly. It's not just
HR,
programmers and
finance,
coders,
IT, recruitment, community, marketing, PR, events, testing, QA.
Yeah, there's like it's not just one tiny little bit. Obviously, we need to make the game, but
Yeah.
we need to support the
We
people
still need
that make
programmers.
the game. You know.
We can't
And,
have just all community managers running a company.
Yeah, exactly. And and I started as a studio assistant because I was like, hey, I can do all that stuff, so I'm just going to apply. And
And how did you see it on? You saw that on job vacancies
on the Facebook page. Actually.
Oh,
yeah.
follow us on Facebook.
I was a
if you
fan
haven't
on
done so
Facebook,
already.
and that's how I saw it. And I just thought, because I was working in retail beforehand,
Oh.
so I was just like in a clothes shop, and I was just like, I don't really know what I want to do with my life, but I like video games, and yeah, I just saw it, and I thought, I'm just gonna do it. What's the worst that can happen? They could just say no.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
another
didn't,
good point.
so
Like,
that's pretty good.
if you see something you're not quite sure, do apply for it. I mean, obviously we have got like high standards here. Everyone here is really, really good at what they do, but
Yeah.
you also never know. Kind of.
Yeah, exactly. I think
You
if
never know.
if you've got a
Just
passion
go
for
for
something
something.
and you work hard at it, that'll definitely shine. I
Yeah.
think in your
And this is
CV.
your first studio job as well.
Yeah, this is my first job in games. This is my only job in games, and so yeah, I feel
We've been
very-
trying to get rid of it, but
But yeah, I feel really lucky to. I feel really lucky to be here. So and
a lot of Jenga being played, guys.
sorry, where's your go?
I'm sorry. No one's gonna get this T-shirt at this rate.
Yeah, no, it's my first job in games, only job in games, and yeah, I never really kind of planned to be in video games because I I thought that there wasn't really like a place for me because I
Yeah.
didn't think that I had the skills.
Yeah.
But you do.
Jenny is the junior community manager. If anyone that doesn't know her, she is in charge of the day-to-day running of our social channels.
That's
if
me.
you've ever DM'd her or messaged her, it's Jenny replying, helping out events, everything. She is, give a shout out to Jenny on the on the Twitch chat. Let's do some.
Thank you. And this is Alex.
Enoch Root LBN says, "Great job, Jenny."
Thank you,
Great
and not
job.
through LBN. I do chat a lot to you. This is your first time on the stream.
It is actually.
This is Alex's debut on the stream.
Thank you.
Ow!
Be nice.
What do you do?
What do I do?
What do you do?
A lot of people ask me that.
You do a lot.
I do a lot.
Alex is very important.
No, I'm not.
You are.
I'm usually behind like the Twitch stream on the computer, just listening and being like monitoring things. No one wants to see me. So I didn't think I could get a job in gaming because again I was like, I'm not a programmer, I'm not an artist.
Yeah, exactly.
But I always loved video games. Like I had a Game Boy first, but then I had like PS1, PS2, PS3.
Yeah, I had a Sega Mega Drive.
Did you? Actually, I had a Game Gear. I lied. That was my first one.
Old school, but also had a Game Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, Game Boy.
Game Boy,
and then a
like
Game Boy Color.
Yeah, yeah. Game Boy
Harvest
Advance
Moon and Pokemon Blue, and I was
Oh,
like, this
yeah.
is the best thing ever.
Pokemon Red.
Oh,
Oh.
who was your starter Pokemon?
Squirtle.
Charmander. Every time. So yeah, I just didn't think working in gaming was for me, and so I kind of followed my other interests. I ended up doing languages at university, and so
Yeah.
naturally I ended up in advertising.
How many languages can you speak?
To various degrees. I can speak Spanish really well, Portuguese and French a little bit,
Muy bien.
Catalan a little bit. Muy bien, exactly.
I don't speak any Spanish.
And then I started in advertising, and then an opportunity came up to work on Xbox's account. Boom! Boom! But I worked for Xbox for a
Kidding,
couple
love
of
for
years.
all. Woo!
And through that, I ended up getting kind of experience in gaming, and I was like, oh, actually, I can work in video games because I've got, my advertising marketing experience, and through
Which
that,
is very, useful in the game.
which is so
industry.
useful.
That's
Well, I like to think so.
it is. It's vital in
Yeah.
the sort of a life cycle of a game. Without marketing,
Where would we be?
where would we be? It's great to make an amazing game, but you need help to actually get it out there.
Right, exactly.
Alex gets it out there.
That sounds a bit weird. Yeah, so when you send in your CVs for community manager, getting it out there is number one. But
I
no,
do
seriously,
apologise.
a job came up at PlayStation, and for my interview for PlayStation, working as a product manager, the interview task that I was set was write a marketing plan for this game called Tearaway. So from the very get-go, from my interview, I was working on Tearaway, and then I got the job to be the Tearaway product manager.
No, Karen.
No, it's alright.
No.
It's a boring story.
No, it's great. No, I was just thinking. No, it's so Terra was
Tearaway
your,
was my first game.
It was your first game.
Yeah, I mean, I'd worked kind of like in advertising on Xbox, but in terms of being a product manager, that was
so
my
it was your
first
first game?
game. Was Tearaway.
Ah.
Tearaway on Vita, and then I was lucky enough to work on a whole bunch of other games. I worked on Killzone Shadowfall, The Last of Us, SingStar, other things.
Loads of stuff.
Loads of
variety.
stuff.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4, but my heart was always like with MM.
You had a paper heart.
I had a papery heart. So fragile and creative.
And can I just say that Alex was an amazing product manager for
Obviously.
Tearaway? You were. You are.
I mean, it's hard not to love a game like Tearaway. Like,
Well, yeah, exactly.
what
It's
beauty and magic.
It's beautiful.
Is it my turn again?
It is your turn.
Anyone that said I was going to win this is not going to get that T-shirt, by the way. Quickly change your mind and say, Jenny, oh my god, no. I haven't touched that one, no one saw it.
It's fine, you can touch. I feel like you can't really play unless you give it a poke.
Yeah, that's...
Sorry.
This is
The
out
blocks!
of control!
The blocks!
This
Otherwise
is
you don't
out
know
of
if they're,
control.
if it's going to make it tumble.
And then, I was kind of like looking for my next opportunity, and I was chatting to Siobhan, who, Siobhan Reddy is our studio director, and she is an incredible role model for women in gaming, and just, for anyone in gaming in general. And
She does loads of stuff for sort of women in games
Yeah.
and promoting and
Yeah,
visits
yeah.
schools and stuff. So yeah, she's a fantastic.
she's a fantastic role model, and I look up to her immensely. And
me too.
She was like, "Do you want to come work for us on Dreams?" And I was like, "Okay." Came to the studio and I thought, "Okay, sure."
Why not?
Yeah,
Give it a
I
go.
saw Dreams, and someone was giving me a demo, and they showed me like a 3D print of something, and it was just that kind of like heart-stop moment of, this is amazing. Dreams is amazing.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of this.
The scope of it is like wow.
Yeah, it inspires me so much, and the fact that I get to work on it every day is.
It's pretty cool.
is just, I can't believe it.
We get to see
We're
so many
lucky.
amazing things. I walk past people's screens and I'm like,
Like all the stuff you're posting on Twitter and Instagram, I was like, this is just so inspirational.
yeah, these people are insanely talented.
Yeah.
Insanely talented.
And I just love playing it as well. Like you guys will get the beta eventually.
Yes,
Trust us.
it's coming.
It's coming.
We
it's
are
coming,
working
it's coming.
really, really hard on it. Trust me.
Yeah,
We are.
but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
We don't want to, release anything that's not ready.
Yeah.
So we don't want to rush it. So
Exactly.
sit tight. You will be rewarded. We promise.
So there is a community manager vacancy at the moment.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that.
We should probably talk. That's why we're here. Is it my turn again?
It's your turn.
Not swearing.
I was very close to knocking it over before. So good luck.
Uh,
Where are you gonna go? After all, there becomes a very limited number of blocks that are the good ones.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
do you know the story of how Spaff got the community manager job? Yeah, he was
from
he was-
Idle Thumbs, right? Is that right?
No.
No?
Him and Tom.
Martin
set
knows the
up-
story.
set
Oh,
up
LB Planetoid.
Little
Is
Big
that-
Planetoid.
Little Big Planetoid.
Ah.
Fan site, right?
Yeah.
Very much like Dream Bubble
They
is.
showed
you
an
know, now.
incredible aptitude for what community management is, and Spaff came in and presented to MM and explained to them what community management is.
Because we
This
didn't
quite
have
new.
a community manager before then, right?
This is Martin talking, by the way.
Sorry, I don't know if you can
Probably
hear.
can't
Probably
hear
not.
me,
But yeah.
So for the community manager job, this is another one where a background in gaming isn't necessarily a must-have.
No, I would say just a background in building a
Yeah,
community.
in building
from
a community
small
is-
to,
yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
a good number of years' experience. Would you say?
Yeah, I think we're
Like-
looking for around kind of like 4 or 5 years experience. I mean, in gaming is fantastic, obviously, but it could be in kind of any related industry.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't have to be gaming. Yeah.
tech, entertainment, TV, film. Those are kind of quite
Yeah.
similar
Just
segments.
as long as you kind of show us that you're sort of engaging with your audience
Yeah.
and creating content and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely. And I think, obviously having a strong interest in social media is really important. A lot of the job is managing the channels, but also coming up with like content ideas. Like content is a really massive part of community management these days. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people think it's more moderation where you're kind of just chatting.
Replying
and
to people and
which
stuff
is a
like
big
that.
part of the job.
Yeah, yeah. I love
Content
doing
is
that.
king.
Content is king though, that's the thing. Like we
And queen.
always... King and queen.
King and queen.
The genderless specific monarch.
Queen.
So... I can't... What was I saying?
Content.
Oh, content.
Coming up with
Martin,
content
just sitting
ideas.
over there eating sweets.
You're just coming up with new ideas for I guess sort of getting dreams out there and getting people knowing about dreams. Really.
Yeah.
Oh no! Hang on.
What
Which
did I
one are you
do?
doing? There's two coming out. Can you not see? Look. There.
I can't see. It's around here.
Look. You got to move.
Whose idea was Jenga?
Oh yeah, you got to make you move very carefully.
Right.
Okay, there we go. That's right. Should we push that one back in? I don't
You can
know.
just take it. That could be your one.
Okay. Alright, okay.
So back to community management.
Yeah.
So if you are going to apply for this job, in the same way that you'd see like a portfolio for an artist,
Yeah.
it would be really handy to see examples of the work that you've done.
Yeah. So I guess that could be like anything from blog posts
Yeah.
to
You need to be able to write well.
Yeah.
Preferably be in front of the camera as well. So if you've got examples of like a podcast
Yeah.
or YouTube
sort of-
videos, that's
yeah,
always a
Twitch
plus.
streaming, anything like that,
Yeah,
live streaming,
that's
or
a real
even
plus.
just like YouTube videos of I don't know, sort of you making like how-to videos or sharing
Anything.
stuff online. Yeah, anything where you're just engaging with
Yeah.
fans and
And think a lot about your CV as well, because if your CV is 8 pages long and full of text, I'm gonna cry. I've got some really, really long CVs in, and everyone has got really interesting stories to tell, but you have to be able to condense that down. Like if you can't sell yourself, we could maybe assume that you're not going to be great at selling.
yeah, you need to be able to
the
like
community and
edit.
selling.
Like
games.
editing is important. Like obviously you want to say everything that you've done.
Yeah.
but you just need to know how to just condense it.
Yeah,
Condense
exactly.
it, yeah.
So, think about how you're presenting yourself. Like, would I look at your application and think, oh, this is a creative person? Obviously, this is
Yeah.
a really creative industry.
Yeah.
We want to see your personality as well, because obviously being a community manager, you're giving so much of yourself to people.
Yeah. You are the face of, the company.
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly.
So I'm very aware of that when I'm tweeting.
Yeah.
Even from my personal account, I'm kind of aware that I shouldn't say anything bad or, not that I would anyway, but it's just
Just swearing maniacally. So content is king, so thinking about content is really important. It's also a really strategic role.
Yeah.
So
kind of thinking like the over
Yeah.
the big picture, not just
especially,
day to
yeah,
day.
totally, because with something like Dreams, we could talk forever. There's so much content that we could show. There's so many things.
There's
Anything
endless
from-
screenshots and GIFs and videos, and
from
behind
3D
the scenes.
printing
Yeah.
to event, everything. There's
Yeah.
so much to do. So actually having a real point of view as to what works well and why, or what we should show at what point and why, is really, really important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So being able to demonstrate yourself creatively and strategically is key. So for this particular role, we are looking for someone for about 4 or 5 years experience already to work with us.
Yeah.
To get into community management in general, I'd say at a more junior level is...
I don't know, because
you can kind of come from any route. Again, like, you don't have to have a degree in anything, or in gaming, or in communications or marketing, nothing. Like, it really doesn't matter. What does matter is that you understand how gaming communities work.
Yeah.
And, you guys out there on Twitch stream, you are a gaming community already. You see how that works.
Yeah.
And if you can help bring that to life, then
again, just
we
you
want
just
to talk to you.
have the passion.
Have the
You know what I'm saying?
passion. Alex Evans is on the floor.
He's literally just gone like full on. Like,
It was like a snake. He came in like a snake.
I wish you could see.
What are you doing?
I think
Stealing the laptop.
he's stealing
he's
the
taking
laptop.
the laptop.
He needs that.
I have stolen it.
Bye,
Terrified me
Alex.
slightly. So,
Commando style, snake style.
yeah.
Snakes are commando.
Is it your go? Come.
I told you I'm rubbish at this.
And also reporting and analytics as well. Like a
Yes.
good knowledge of just how to read the numbers.
No,
Because
data is really important, and it sounds really boring, but I absolutely love data.
she's a big data fan. Loves it.
I love data.
Every time I walk past her computer, she's got some.
I'm looking at some stats.
some kind of
like
chart, or
analytics. Yeah, no, data is really important
But
because
it is very important. Yeah.
it's very easy just to get carried away chatting to people all day, but actually being able to have some evidence, some like hard facts behind why you're doing what you're doing is really useful. And even just small things like we know that our fans really like these pictures, or they really want to know more about logic and music, because we hear that from you guys a lot. Like we hear it. So
and the beta.
and the beta. So yeah, being able to actually have proper reasons for everything.
Yeah.
And proper data.
Kind of reporting,
So,
showing that we are doing this and it is actually working.
Yeah,
We're not
so-
kind of just shouting it out into oblivion.
Into oblivion. So I mean, experience with anything from like Google Analytics to Radian, something like that.
Yeah.
It's really, really useful.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
guess, yeah, experience of just writing reports as well, I guess, or just knowing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the
how
job-
to present that kind of back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll need kind of like presentation skills as well, not just kind of to the community, but internally as well. Like we need take the piece. I'm sorry, Leo. I'm sorry.
She's slacking, man.
I'm just chatty.
Ooh, well done.
Don't patronise me.
No, it's getting,
Have we had bets on who's going to win?
To be honest, you're taking so long, I don't think it's relevant.
No.
We're just taking our time and having a chat, all right? I
We're
thought,
just
I'm
having a
sure
nice
you
time.
guys
No-
are enjoying
No
it.
one
you
has
know?
to watch this.
Hey, right.
Everyone's still watching. Is everyone gone?
People want.
Is it my go again?
No,
Where
it's
did
my
you
go.
go?
It's my go. It's my go. Sorry, I'm getting distracted.
I'm
Okay,
really
here we
tired.
go. Here we go.
Right. I'm going to read some of these comments. How can you not love data if you're coming from a marketing background? Exactly. Thank you, Sakuraba.
Exactly. Subtenko,
Something about my
Jenny.
glasses. Be nice.
For the win, look, they want me to win, yay!
Thank you, the Gaming Dinosaur 2010.
Oh, the gaming dinosaur.
You charming individual. Lard Teamaker has picked it. Hang on.
Hey,
Everyone's
Lord
picking Jenny.
Teamaker!
None of you are getting this t-shirt now. I'm telling you that.
Was that me?
I did it.
Oh, okay. I thought that might be Saturday.
Jenny has won! So
Yay!
we will scroll back through whoever said Jenny.
Does that mean I win the t-shirt?
No, you've already got one.
I know, I'm kidding.
Here's a t-shirt. We've got these in a few sizes, so whoever we're going to pick, I don't know who should pick.
Who won? How do we pick?
How do we pick?
Should we close our eyes and point?
Viper Monkey 97, you're too late.
Oh, hashtag. You did a hashtag.
Hashtag Team Alex. I'm happy for that. Sikanema asks, are you looking for 4 to 5 years industry experience, or is it just community experience? So
Good
no,
question.
it's for this job. The important thing is that you've got experience working in community management, or
Whether
social
it's-
media management,
across
that
any
could- yeah.
field, you know.
Yeah.
We've had, people applying from all kinds of realms.
Yeah,
From,
exactly.
like, the trains or different companies. It doesn't have to be games. It can be
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. Like, the important thing is that you know how to talk to people and have a good sense of what people are interested in, and have a real passion for dreams as well. We didn't mention that.
Yeah, because that's what you'll be working
Which
on.
we should have. Yeah, obviously you're going to be working a lot on dreams. If you're not in love with it and inspired by it, then why are you here on
Yeah.
the stream?
If you don't really
You probably
get
do.
it, then yeah.
I've got a new competition as well.
Oh, Alex Evans is here with a come
Alex
join
Evans
us.
is back in.
I got an extra competition
Back
for
in the
coders.
room.
Hello.
Join.
So we're going to tweet in a minute after the stream, and this will go up on YouTube as well, and you can re-watch on YouTube.
You
After
can.
all our streams.
Yeah.
And next week will be Dreams, and last week was an amazing Dream stream. So if you missed it,
Yeah, go watch it.
Kareem
That was
and
Last week was
Francis.
brilliant.
amazing.
Making the
it
World
was
War One
really good.
scene.
They
that
made
was
they remade the World War
amazing.
One scene. Anyway, we're going to post on our Twitter, which is @MediaMolecule, the code that I typed in the first part of the stream. And as you know, there was a bug, and I've just found the bug since I snaked in. I had a look at the code, and there are 2 letters wrong. So we're going to post the buggy code,
And they have
and
to.
bug bounty. Whoever can find the 2 letters that are wrong, or letters or numbers, two characters that are wrong, you make 2 character changes. It works. It prints out 2339, which is the right answer. So it was very close. It was very close.
Ooh.
Whoever gets that will do some cool prize. You have to tell us what
Wow.
what the mistake was on Twitter, and
That's a
we'll post the
challenge.
buggy code. And then maybe if no one applies, we'll have to answer it and get our own prize. But I hope one of you guys can.
You can do it, guys. Come on.
Find the bug bounty. So bug bounty.
Bug
we'll make
bounty.
sure it's
Woo!
something cool. It'll
Bug
be a
bounty.
It'll be a
Hashtag.
one of a kind prize. Maybe we'll get Radek to do a 3D print or something little.
Okay, it's a big bounty.
Well, that's a big
Is that
bounty.
too big a
No,
bounty?
it's great.
Yeah.
All right. Some
Who's
little.
up for that?
Who's
Anyone?
up for that?
Who's up for
I mean,
that?
we're like 15 seconds behind on the chat, so
I don't know what baguette is. I don't
make
know.
hashtag baguette
bread.
happen.
It's bread.
We
Well, I
know
know that it's bread.
So. All right.
Oh, it's because URPS 1337 is saying are foreign applicants penalised? Absolutely not. Everyone is welcome
No,
to apply.
we've got all
No,
sorts of
not
people
at
here.
all.
Yeah, loads of different.
And we have people who commute in from Paris. Christophe comes in from Paris. You
Jordan
know.
comes in from Spain.
Geordie comes in from Spain.
I come in from Brighton.
Brighton people. That faraway place.
so far.
Yeah. So yeah, we love.
What's the
Everyone.
programming language?
Programming
D3?
language was C.
Was
we'll,
C.
We'll post it, and yeah, it's C. C. It should run on Mac and Linux and PC as well. Like it's very vanilla, but you will need your coding chops. So call your coding friends, find the 2 character mistake, and see if
you'll
you
win
can. Yeah,
something
so you can win it.
Yeah.
And it is.
That's
It
cool.
took me how long? When did I sneak in?
10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
It took me about 10 minutes to find it. So it's not hidden. Right.
All right,
I'm
we're
off.
wrapping up, Dan.
See you later. See you later.
Oh, goodness.
So did we say everything about?
I think we've said everything.
Yeah.
He has literally said everything.
Dan's crying. We've had a nice time.
Have you had a lovely time?
Has everyone had a lovely time?
No.
No. All right, well,
Are you on Twitter?
I am.
Tell us.
Oh, sure.
Shout out to Alex. Moyet.
Shout out at Alex Moyet, Moyet.
Nice.
What are you?
I'm at Jenny __ Lawrence.
2 underscores.
Well, Jenny Lawrence was taken, and Jenny _Lawrence was taken.
I like
as
it because
well.
it's like a kind of Bond, James Bond, like Jenny Lawrence.
00_.
Right, we're going to leave it there. We've been chatting far too long. Dan Castro has got his head in his hands. I think you've already enjoyed it though.
Yeah.
You have.
If you have any more
The
questions,
gaming dinosaur, who's one of my favourites now, has had a
we've had a
wonderful
wonderful time. We love you. Woo! We love everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to subscribe to us on Twitch, media_molecule.
Yeah, on
YouTube,
Twitter. Oh, no,
YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, everything Media Molecule.
Yes,
subscribe.
Media Molecule. Feel free to send
Thank
through
you,
any more
Johnny Cullen.
questions.
See you soon.
Oh, and don't forget to visit our website, www.mediamolecule.com/jobs. Dan's putting it up there. There we go, for all information on our current roles available right now. Great. And yeah, if you have any questions, just tweet us or email us, and we will answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you!
Bye.
See you next week! 5 o'clock, same time.
5.